Hey, what is up, guys? Tyler here with Secure Team, and today we have an update to probably one of the most controversial conspiracy theories, as some call it, although I like to think of it as simple critical thinking. But this place has been a topic of speculation and research for years now, and that place, of course, I am speaking about is Denver International Airport, which many of you may have heard about this. In fact, one of our most popular videos that I put out way back in, I think, 2016 is about this very airport. And if you don't know, well, aside from being just a massive airport built back in 1995, it is also believed by many people to hold a lot of secrets. The most notable, probably, of those secrets is that this airport is hiding and is basically a facade for a very real and a very secretive deep underground base. And not just any base, but potentially a base that may very well hold things of an alien nature. And for those of you who have never heard of this theory, I would ask that you listen and watch this entire video before making up your mind. But, before we go into any further detail about this airport, here is the update for those of you who do know about it, okay? There's been conspiracy theories about it for years, that it is holding some sort of secret underground bunker. And not only do these theories come from a lot of the strange things that can be found within the airport, which we will go on to talk about here in just a second, but it would appear now that the airport itself, or those who are actually in control of just the airport, have created this new advertising campaign with brand new billboards scattered throughout the airport that basically admit that the airport is shrouded in mystery and that these theories about it are real. And so, whether you want to call it them poking fun at these conspiracy theories, as they call them, or whether, as some believe, they are actually admitting that the cover-up is real, but are simply doing it through these sort of happy and funny billboards. By some sort of reverse psychology, they're admitting it exists by not admitting it exists. And so here are some of those new billboards. The first you can see here with this little green alien man here, with the writing, quote, "Yes, Den's got some secrets." Den's, obviously, it stands for Denver International Airport. Den's got some secrets. It goes on to say, "Since the airport's opening in 1995, there have been endless rumors and theories. People say our underground tunnels lead to secret meeting facilities for the world's elite. Our blue horse is thought to be cursed. Some believe we are connected to the New World Order, the Freemasons, and are home to lizard people." So yeah, I'm obviously poking fun at some of the theories about the airport, including the lizard people statement, which I think these days it seems like anyone who wants to poke fun at the UFO community, they always seem to bring up the lizard people, as if that is some sort of hallmark of this community, when it's really not. I mean, how many times have you guys ever heard me even use the term lizard people? So it's a subtle way and an easy way for people like this to poke fun and belittle the work that we do on channels like this. But I digress. Let's move forward. Another billboard that says, "What is happening behind this wall?" And it lists three choices. A, gargoyle breeding grounds, which, by the way, they are referencing to these very scary-looking gargoyle statues that can be found throughout the airport. It's one of the things that we're going to talk about here in a minute. The next choice, a top-secret Freemason meeting, or an improved airport experience. As in, I'm guessing, there's some sort of construction happening behind this wall. The next here shows yet another one of these gargoyles, creepy gargoyle statues, almost demonic looking, that were placed in the airport after its creation. Next to it, it says, "Streamlined security or more secrets." And you'll notice that all of these billboards tell their readers to learn the truth at a website called denfiles.com. And when you go to that website, well, it just redirects you to the DIA site for the airport. So you're not really learning anything. But so back to these billboards here. They're obviously poking fun at these theories due precisely because of the pressure that they've been receiving, especially after the video I put out, which has now gotten millions of views since. It really sort of sparked the debate about the airport, and I guess you could call this my follow-up to that original video. But either two things are happening here. The airport is simply poking fun, and there's nothing there. There's nothing under the airport. It's just a regular airport, and we're all crazy. Or number two, they know about the secrets that this airport is holding, and that these billboards are a mere subtle but jokingly way for them to secretly admit that without admitting it. And so, if you've watched my channel and actually done any research regarding this airport, when it was built, before it was built, you'll know that there's actually nothing funny about it, and that some of these strange key points that you guys are about to learn here give much more credence to the theory that there is something hidden underneath this airport than not. And so, well, let's get started. Let's talk about DIA, as we will call it, and why it's so mysterious. What is all the commotion about? I want to break it down for you guys. Very simple. All right, no fluff, no nonsense. I'm going to show you exactly what it was that made people start looking into this place and why they think there's something more to it. So I guess to start off, the initial construction for DIA began and was finished in 1995. Now, this airport is the second largest in the world, possibly the third at this point. It's nearly twice the size as the second largest U.S. airport, meaning that DIA is the largest airport in the United States. And from looking at this sort of overhead view here, it can also be noted that the shape of the airport itself takes upon a very familiar and well-known German symbol. That's very strange that they chose this layout. But let's move forward. We'll talk about more about the construction and the things within here in a minute. So, built it in 95, America's largest airport. The funny thing was at the time, they actually didn't need this airport, seeing as that they already had the Stapleton Airport already nearby, and that such an expensive and lengthy project seemed unnecessary. Knowing that they were going to be spending billions of dollars to build this new airport, with many later believing that, well, this was simply a ploy to cover up a much larger project that was happening under this massive construction site. And this site was massive. This whole airport, I believe, when they were building it, it stretched some 53 miles in all directions, and spreading outward over some 35,000 acres of land. The place is enormous. It's massive, as I love to say. And what's even more strange about this is that despite the massive size of the airport, DIA actually didn't have as many runways as Stapleton Airport had. And it wasn't even one of the top 5 busiest airports in the United States, which led to more suspicion, obviously. Here you're seeing some schematics of the airport as it was being built, and there is one particular piece of paper that goes right to the theory that the airport surrounds and is on top of a massive bunker installation that is hidden beneath it, corroborated through this blueprint here, which depicts 5 buildings from the initial construction site that officials later claimed were incorrectly placed. And well, instead of demolishing them and taking them out, instead, all 5 buildings were simply buried beneath the airport. So before we go in the airport, let's just take a quick look at the airport from afar, from the outside, and it definitely it looks very different from your typical airport. And it has a very cryptic and eerie look to it, in my opinion, with these massive white tents stretching from end to end, and something that yet again many onlookers have found strange and sometimes horrifying, is this giant 32-foot tall horse statue that is nicknamed Blucifer, go figure, at its entrance. The horse, standing up on its hind legs, displays what appear to be spikes running down its neck, bright red, fiery glowing, scary, demon-like eyes. I mean, it was named Blucifer, for Christ's sake. Let's take a stroll into the airport itself so we can show you some more of the very strange and disconcerting works of art that have been placed throughout the airport for the moms and the dads and the young little kids, going to their flights to look at and be horrified by. Because as you're walking, one of the main attractions that you probably would have stumbled up on, and well, this has actually since been taken down, I've heard, due to the undesirable effect it had on passersby, but they had these massive murals in the airport depicting this sort of apocalyptic scene where the world had ended, and you had famine, you had children, and what appeared to be soldiers or dictators rising up with a sword in one hand and a rifle in the other, sporting no less a gas mask. It eventually had to be removed to appease travelers. But there are other things throughout the hotel that bring even more mystery. As I said earlier, the many statues of these demonic-like creatures, gargoyles, demons, many of them sculpted to look as if they were popping out of a suitcase, which I have to say, that's just a wonderful sight to see right before you're about to get on an airliner. And I wonder just how many people, after having seen that, wondered if it was some sort of omen and whether they should have taken the flight at all. I can only imagine. Now, some other strange things, besides the sort of scary end-of-the-world artwork scattered around this airport, well, there's also other artwork, other little pieces of carved stone that allude back to the concept of the New World Order. The first of those comes when you actually try to find out, well, who actually was behind the building of this airport back in 1995. Well, it turns out that we really don't know. All we do have is a stone plaque here stating that the airport was founded by something called the New World Airport Commission. And once again, by their own admission, we have yet another piece of the airport that has led many to believe that whoever was involved with the creation of this airport was indeed involved with the New World Order, Freemasonry, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call it. And just who was this New World Airport Commission? Well, we don't know. At the time, it didn't exist, and it doesn't exist. And there are other tiles just like this scattered around the airport. Another one off the top of my head is one that includes the word Mount Blanca, which, if you read up on Mount Blanca, this is where the Knights Templar famously signed their charter, which mentioned that they'd gathered to form a new world order. And then we have the strange sightings from airport workers shortly after DIA first opened up, with many airport staffers reporting strange happenings over the years, including bizarre noises and whispers of an on-site morgue, to whispers of underground doors leading every which way and all over the place, massive tunnels underground stretching for miles away from the airport. And in fact, during the airport's construction, it was noted that for miles and miles, to those driving along the highway next to it, passersby would see these thousands of large underground tunnel pipes, concrete pipes, laying stacked upon the surface about a mile out from the construction site, as well as massive mounds of dirt. One last strange things that occurred at one point in 2007 surrounding the airport was a bizarre event where 14 planes had their windshields mysteriously cracked within a 2-hour time frame. And when examined by investigators, they claimed that it had happened because of, quote, foreign object debris. Although no one could explain just what that debris was. 14 planes having their windshields cracked within a 2-hour time span. And again, like I said, the more and more you look into it, even though we don't have something definitive, we don't have the concrete smoking evidence here, but you don't need that. All you need is common sense, and you look at the evidence for it and against it. And to this day, years later after I posted the first video about this place, I still firmly believe that something is being hidden underneath it. You may disagree, and that's totally fine. That's just my personal opinion. I've seen enough evidence, I've gotten enough emails from people who have visited this place, flown through there, and got the creeps while doing it, and just simply felt that something was not right. And with these new billboards, it would seem that they are putting it right there in your face, almost to say, we're laughing at you. We know that many of you know this is true, but we're laughing at you, and we're going to create a mockery of it with these billboards. And, it's definitely a genius marketing technique. I definitely will give them that. So, Denver International Airport, what is it hiding? To what extent? We may never know the whole truth, but I think just the information that we've spoken about today is more than enough to convince many of you that something is going on, something's not right, and that there's a little bit of smoke here. And as they say, where there is a little bit of smoke, there's usually a fire. So with that, you guys give me your opinions down below. I'd love to hear them. Keep your eyes to the skies, and I will see you all back in just a bit. Stay safe, guys.